Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our team Zoom, and I'm so excited that you could all join us tonight. We have something very special in store, and I hope everyone has their notebooks and pens ready because we're going to hear from Krista Harris, our dear friend. And let me just give you a little introduction to Krista. She's an amazing wife, mother, and mentor. She's helped all of us just to become the best version of ourselves. She's a world changer, and she lives a life that is just a beautiful example to all of us. She has many talents and giftings, and she's been involved in ministry for many years. And we're so thankful that she is our Pro 8 servant leader in LifeVantage, and we get to do this together. And tonight, she is actually going to teach us just some end of the year tax tips. She's been researching this, and so she has some great things in store for us. So with that, Krista, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I just would say that, Krista, will you have time at the end for questions?
I will try to.
Okay, great. So we'll save the questions for the end. So
okay, great.
Thank you, Krista.
Well, thank you, kind, sweet friend, Julie. We're so grateful. Mark and I talk all the time about how grateful we are for Julie and her leadership on this team and what she's offering. Can I just get a thumbs up that you guys can hear me? Fantastic. If something starts going wrong, then I don't do well with the chat. So if you're chatting with me while I'm speaking, I get totally confused. But if you have a thumbs down, I'll realize something's wrong. So I just wanted to take about 20 minutes to try to do it in 20 minutes to share with you guys a little bit about what Mark and I are learning. A lot of you know that we've been in LifeVantage since April of 2010. So we are over 8 years in. And, you know, our original goal was to get to making a $500 check a month. And so to average what a Pro 8 makes now, 8 years later, it's almost miraculous to us. And so we have had to learn a lot about what to do with money and how to steward it well. And one of the biggest parts of learning about making money and stewarding it well is understanding what you owe the government and what you don't owe the government. And so I am a big fan of paying taxes. I'm just going to be honest. I love the area that we live in. And we pay a lot of taxes to live in our area. We have some of the most amazing libraries. We have some of the most amazing roads. We just got all new bridges all over our city. We have some of the most amazing parks. It's amazing. We have an incredible school system. And so I try to sort of keep my perspective sometimes when I'm paying my state tax because I need to be grateful, and my city tax, I need to be grateful. And also, we live in one of the most blessed nations in the world. And so we want to keep it that way. We want to be a wonderful place for people to live, a nation for people to live, and we want to be a blessing to other nations. So you just sometimes have to go, okay, the more money I make, the more tax I pay, but we just need to keep perspective. However, at the same time, we don't want to be people who are giving away our money to the IRS or to our state tax when that's not where it's owed, right? And so I think a lot of times we misunderstand some of the things that we can write off of our taxes being a home-based business. So I should probably first make a disclaimer. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see all the stuff I've written notes about. In no way am I a tax professional. I'm a professional network marketer, but I'm telling you, I am not a tax professional. I have no qualifications when it comes to that. So everything I say, you guys need to work through with your tax guy or gal. And just to, sometimes the reality of it is, though, being a home-based business, the more you learn, the more that you sometimes have to educate some of the people that you're working with on what you can write off and what you can't write off, and how you organize some of that so that it's tax deductible. So that's one of the first things that I should say is that you take all of this information and you pass it through your certified professional tax guy or gal, okay? Not me. So these are the things that we have learned a little bit about, and I just wanted to share some things that have sort of transformed the way we do business. Now, we knew about tax deductions before because we were part of a 501c3. So we could actually, or is it 3C? I can't remember. But we, with our ministry income, we were able to deduct some of that income because we used it. So if we made a check from our ministry or someone donated money to us and we had to use a portion of that to pay for postage to send out newsletters, then that whole process, all the paper, the ink that printed it, the envelopes that we purchased, the stamps, all of that would have been an office expense. So we knew a little bit about some of the tax preparations, the things that we could write off of our taxes, but we've learned a few more because ministry obviously is very, very different than doing network marketing. But the wonder of it all is that so much of it is done, so much of the office part of it, and in network marketing, a ton of your business part as well, and your relational part is done in your home, okay? So you need to just sort of recognize the benefit of that. One of the first things I wanted to address, because this was a new one to us, is that as a network marketer, and you guys will have to keep perspective on how much of your home you actually use. So the typical way that you write off a portion of your home in network marketing or in a home-based business is that you take the total square footage of your home. Okay, the entire square footage, living square footage, not like an unfinished basement, okay, but the square footage of your home. And you take the total square footage of your office. Okay, this is the typical. I'm going to give you a new way to do it, but this is your typical. You take the square footage of your office. So what I would do is we would measure the room that I'm in right now, and then I would divide that by whatever the total square footage of my home is. And at that point, I would get like a number like 6% or 5%, right, of my house is my proper office. And then your tax professional would take that 5% and they would write off 5% of all your utilities, 5% of your mortgage insurance premiums, what are all these things? I can't even remember what some of them are. Your taxes that you pay to city, your state taxes and your Fed taxes, and I should have written those down. But there's a certain amount of things, and it's mostly your utilities that they're going to write of your home off, depending on what your square footage is. However, this is the new thing, and this is where you guys may want to take note. I've just learned, and this didn't make sense to us before, but when you are a network marketer, a large portion of your home is used. Okay, so when someone comes into my home, then my foyer is used. My family room is used. My kitchen is being used. My hallway is being used. My guest bathroom downstairs is being used. All of those things are being used. So I want to recommend to you, and I should have brought my little book up here, but Mark and I keep a small journal. Let me just show you one. We don't use this one, but mine is a little blue journal. I actually got it at Elite Academy, and it says Life Vantage. And we keep it on our, in our foyer on our front little table. So it's just like our entrance table. And I keep a pen there. And it's a reminder to me that if someone in our business knocks on my door for a meeting or to drop something off or to hang out for an hour or to have a cup of tea or to walk through a training, or when we were developing website and we spent hours in our kitchen developing website things, that I put the date in when they arrive. and I have them sign it. Okay. And recently I've been putting in what portions of my home that they were using. Okay. So for instance, the percentage is very different than just my small little office space or Mark and my small office space. So you can increase the percentage of your utilities that are being written off your taxes by keeping good records on what happens. And then you take, let's say we had 65 days out of 365 days that my home had been used. Okay, 65 out of 365. Then that would be another percentage, and that would be the percentage that my tax guy would write off of our utilities, et cetera, et cetera. So you do have to keep records, but just keep perspective on that, because your whole home at some point is being used. Our guest room upstairs is only used for our guests. It's super rare that anyone in our family actually uses our guest room. So what we have done is, because the closet is used for a portion of like our winter clothes and or our summer clothes, so it's sort of our switch out area, then we just write off the section of the room and that bathroom upstairs that are actually usable by guests. And our guests are all LifeVantage distributors, or all, because all of our family are LifeVantage distributors, and all of our ministry people. I mean, so the room is totally for business and completely for ministry. So just keep perspective on what you're actually using and keep good records on that. Another thing that has been super helpful for us, and some of this is a little obvious, is that we have 2 separate credit cards. So we have a credit card that is a home credit card. I do our home grocery shopping there, but I have a credit card that is a business credit card. And if we're having an event at my house and I'm going to buy coffee for that event, then I put that on my credit card that is a business credit card. And my other coffee is spent on this one. So you can separate out very, very easily what you're using it for. If we are at a EA and we need to buy food, then I put that on my business card. If we're at a LifeVantage Academy and we've gone out for something to do afterwards, then that goes on my business card. So it's important to keep these receipts. And this is how we've been doing it. And really, this has been helpful lately. So just recently, we had a big tax seminar here, and we're probably going to make some more available to you guys throughout the year to try to help everyone get their head around some of this. Because it doesn't affect you as much when you're making $400 to $500 a month, but when you start making $4,000 to $5,000 a month, you're going to want some strategy you're going to want to use some strategy on how you organize your life, or your home and your business are going to get so confused and that your finances just look weird, and then the IRS is going to look at you weird. So we want to be people of honesty, and we want to do what we're supposed to do. So you just need some strategies and some ideas as to how to organize it. So we have these little funny envelopes. Now, the ones that we were given are a little obnoxious. They're bright and shiny, and I think Mark's ended up being pink or something. And I was like, yes, the more bright, the better, because I'm sort of an organized kind of person. Mark's sort of creative. And so sometimes I'm like, put it in the pink envelope, put it in it's something that he can see and remember because it's clear. So what we do with these is that this stays in my purse, and then my receipts go in here. My business receipts and my home receipts. Okay. So you may need to be even more organized than that. You may need one for business and one for home. So if I go to the grocery store and I buy dinner for a week or whatever, then I put that in my home area. If I go to the grocery store and I have to pick up stamps for the business, which I do sometimes at the grocery store, then I make sure that that's done on a different card, and then I put it in my business envelope, okay? Now, when I do this every month, and this is key, and if you don't do it every month, I just wish I could make my hair mess up and freak out. That's what you're going to feel like. Because it is so bad at the end of the year when your tax guy is calling you and things are due and you don't have it organized. So make sure that you are every month at the end of the month or like at payday or whatever you want to do, take out your little envelope or whatever you keep your receipts in and organize them every month to the statement that comes in the mail to you. So if you don't do everything, I mean, I'm just telling you, I could never do it if it were all digital. So I still get credit card statements, paper statements, and I keep them all in one place, and then I go through them every month. I put all my receipts together, and I sort of check off. My dad used to do this when I was younger. I can remember seeing him do it. I check off all the little things to make sure I have a receipt for each item. The other important thing is this, and Jerry Whistler I know does this. There's a few different places that you can get some help with this, but the way I do it is I write the name and or whatever it is that's going on the receipt. Okay, so for instance, if I went out for a coffee, if I went to a coffee shop and Dan Arnold and Mark and I were going to sit at a coffee shop, this is typical, and we're going to work on the website. Okay, so if we are buying the coffee, then I'm going to put that on a LifeVantage, well, on my business receipt, and at the top of it, I'm going to put website development with Dan and Mark. Okay, so I've got 3 coffees on there, and it says what it is, so that I know that this was a business expense for website development. And then at the end of the month, that receipt goes on to the credit card. It's stapled, so I have a stack of receipts that are stapled to that business statement. There is a system of coding that is super, super easy and simple, but it's something that we pay for someone to help us in bookkeeping. So you guys, I can always get you in touch with this person, but you do have to, we just pay because we're too busy right now, and she's so much better at it than we are. She and he are so much better at it than we are. So we can always give you guys names and numbers, and y'all can call them and see how much they charge. But and that charge every month is a tax write-off because it's a business expense for us to do business. So make sure you're getting you're separating your cards. You're either, if you want to debit it directly out of your LifeVantage Hyperwallet or your bank account, you can use a debit card, or if you want to do it on a credit card, so whichever thing. But keep all receipts and write on them. Now, this is the thing. Every once in a while, I look at my receipts and I go, man, I forgot to write on that. But this is the deal. If I do it once a month, I remember the meeting. If I do it once every 3 months, I go, who was I meeting with? What were we talking about? And is this business or is this home? So you got to stay trying to do it on a monthly basis instead of doing it when just when you got and you're in the mood to face all your paperwork, because that's overwhelming. And guys, we have lived where we faced all our paperwork, like once a year. It's so bad. So if you keep up with all of this, then you don't owe the government nearly as much as you think you do. Guest book. There's a few. Oh, I know. One of the things I want to talk to you is about branded clothing. So there is a category that you can write off at 100% tax deductible. So you've got a few things that I'll go through, but one of the things is branded clothing. So if you buy something from LifeVantage and it has the words LifeVantage on it, or Pro Tandem, or Axio, or any of our products, then you can write that off completely. It's a complete write-off. This is an important part of information as well. And we have done this many, many times. There are some no iron shirts that I like from Land's End for Mark. I don't want to iron clothes. Don't want to do it. And so Mark does a lot of business presentations. And so I will buy, or he will buy, the no iron shirts from Land's End because they're quality and he likes them and they fit them well. Sorry, I've just dropped something on the floor. Okay, back. So I buy those particular shirts and then I send them to a friend of ours who puts the LifeVantage logo on them. Okay. And I pay her to do that. It's not a lot of money. And I always get the Land's End shirts for 50% or for 40% off. But then I write off the entire shirt. What I spent it lands in, as well as what I spent to charge it. But you have to, if your shirt or your clothes don't necessarily have LifeVantage on them, then you're not supposed to be able to write them off. So there is a little secret that we are learning to do, and this is important because there's a lot of things that we have bought for events for LifeVantage, especially as elites. Sometimes you have to buy things for actually meetings that you're going to. So some of our formal events, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't wear those items again, right? So there's a few items that are an exception to the rule. But there's very, very few for that, because if you wear it for anything else, then you're not supposed to write it off your taxes. So there are a few things that I don't necessarily want like a huge LifeVantage written across it. So I have gone as far as to just get like LifeVantage tags here for $5. And then I can write off the entire sweater. Okay. So if it's labeled, it's a write-off. So consider looking into a friend or someone who does some labeling, because you are promoting it everywhere you go when you're wearing LifeVantage branded clothing. Let me just think. There's a few programs. This is one of the programs that that Jerry Whistler. I think this is the program, Jerry. You could do some sign language or something, but I think you use TaxBot. I can't remember if that's the one you use or if there's another one. But there's a few. Is that the one? Yes. At least I know that one. So TaxBot's a good one, and it's an app that you can get. And it just sort of keeps you organized. And you know, I've seen Jerry, one time we were out Chick-fil-A or somewhere, and Jerry took out his receipt and wrote down who we were with, because it was a meeting. It was a proper business meeting. And then he took a picture of it and uploaded it onto his app, which I was like, okay, that's too much for me, but that's awesome for you. So I just want to stick it in my purse, go on, and then make sure that I get it attached to my credit card. But I'm telling you, that is an amazing way to organize it, because then you don't have to, as long as you have that picture, you don't have to have that receipt. And so if you're a tax person, or if the IRS came back to audit you, you would have it. You would have a copy of your receipt. So you've just got to keep your receipts. A lot with the IRS and with auditing is that it's overwhelming if you get audited because you're unorganized. But if you're organized, then you can prove what you've done. And, you know, I've known people that have been audited and they were super worried about it, but they were organized enough that when the IRS got there to walk them through it, the IRS ended up giving them money. And they were there to take more. And they were like, okay, well, you proved it all. And so they owed them more. It was awesome. So stay organized, and you'll just get a bit of a different perspective on it. And let me just recommend that you hire someone if you're really bad at this kind of stuff. And I know that may be a reach for some people, because we just hired someone, but we are so far behind on when we should have. We're just so far behind. I was organized enough to try to keep up with it, but I think we've paid the IRS thousands and thousands of dollars that if we had been more organized, we probably wouldn't have had to pay. I mean, it was just because I wasn't as organized as I should have been, and I didn't understand some of the tax benefits that I should have. I want to give you a little bit of some of the expenses that you guys can write off. And then I'll take some time, because I know we're already 25 minutes in, and then I'll take a little bit to answer some questions, because I think that's where the rubber hits the road. So let me tell you some of the things that we list every month that we can write off. So your advertising. So any kind of, that's where your branded material goes in. Any type of branded material is an advertising. Your bank charges. So anything that has to do with your checking account that is a business checking account, separate your checking accounts, you guys. Separate them. Have one for business and one for home. Okay? And this is how we do it. When we got a little further along, we became an LLC. And so the LLC collects all of the money on the 15th. And then the LLC pays us. And so there's only a certain amount that's allotted into our home, and the rest of it is business money. And so that pays for all the things that make LifeVantage, Lifetree International, our business work. And so that's how we organize it. And if you can keep your checking account separate, it's so cheap to go downtown to your bank and get a separate checking account. It's not that much. But your bank has charges and they have fees, right? So you make sure that you're writing those bank fees off that are business fees from your business checking account. Any kind of donations. If you are giving money away to any kind of tax-free donation place, make sure that they send you and ask them for a receipt. Because even what you give to Goodwill, if you will document it correctly, then that's a tax write-off. But you've got to think about what you're giving them, and you've got to get your understanding. And you can look this up online to find out what is a proper amount for like a t-shirt that you donate. I think it's like $1 or something. But sometimes if you donate like a tennis racket, that's like $7.50 or something. So all of that kind of stuff is available. I'm going to try to type some of this out and get it on the website for you guys, but I just want to give it to you, and y'all take notes because it may take me longer than you want me it to get this up for y'all. So your dues and subscriptions. So your TaxBot fee every month would be a dues or a due or a subscription. This is a key one, education and training. So anytime that you go to a LifeVantage Academy, you pay $25, all right? Completely tax deductible. When you go to Elite Academy, the whole price of Elite Academy, deductible. Convention, deductible. Your hotel charge, your gas that you spend to get there, deductible. Your meals while you're there, half deductible. Okay, meals and entertainment are cut at half, but write them down. Keep your receipts, okay? Because if you're in your town doing business, those are half, but if you're in your town and you're just sort of running around, then it can get confusing. So you've got to keep it organized so you know which ones are which. So all your education and training, those are completely tax deductible. The amount that we pay to have a Zoom every month, that is an office expense. Okay, so you've got things like paper, your fees, some of your fees for your computer charges, my telephone, my whole telephone gets written off every month. I don't use that phone to just chat on. It is a business telephone, and you have to pay a certain fee every month to have your telephone. And if I didn't pay that fee, then I wouldn't have a phone to do business on. What you pay for your payroll. So if you hire someone to help you, then that's a payroll expense. You've got postage. You have meeting fees, okay? These are a little bit different than training and education fees. So a meeting fee is like if you go and you rent a hotel room, okay? Then that's a meeting fee. Now, if it gets all reimbursed to you, that's different. Just blah, blah, blah. It just sort of cancels itself out. But if that's an expense, if you don't get reimbursed, let's say, and this happened a lot when we first started in Kansas City, we spent like $200 to rent a hotel room, and we only got about like $120 because we didn't have enough people, or people snuck in the back door and didn't pay. Then, what we didn't get back, that is a meeting fee. That is the cost of doing business in our lives. Our agreement, we have an employment agreement, and our employment agreement with our LLC is that they pay for our medical insurance. So our company pays our medical insurance. So you have to work that into some of your legal documentation. It pays for our life insurance and our health insurance. Any kind of interest that you may be paying on credit cards, completely tax deductible. Let's see, repairs and maintenance on any of your office equipment or in your office, tax deductible. So keep your stuff. If you guys buy presents or extra product to give as promotions or gifts or anything like that, You can't do a lot of that now. The IRS has changed this in the last year, but you do have some like maxes, I think at like $25. You better ask about that one. I'm not quite sure on those numbers, but you can gift something to someone and then write that off because that's promoting your business or thanking someone for doing something for you. All of your travel expenses, so you've got gas, you have your hotels, you have your airlines, you have your train rides, you have your train tickets that you have to have for inner city stuff when you're in the city. All of those receipts and all of those are tax deductible. And then you've also got sort of miscellaneous expenses. You also have something called cost of goods sold, and that happens to do with a lot of product. Okay, so if you have extra product, then you can write off a great portion of that product. Now, this product needs to be being used for the benefit of building your business, not for you to just sit around and eat all the time. However, there are some things you need to understand about LifeVantage. In order to do business in LifeVantage, you have to order 1 bottle of something every month. And if you didn't order that product, then you would not be in a business. Okay, it's a requirement of having a business. If you are a Pro 4 and above and you don't have any customers, then you're going to have to order at least 200 points in volume every month to get a paycheck as a Pro 4. Okay, so you've got to think about what are the requirements, because you can only write off what your requirements are. So if you're buying a lot of excess for yourself just to have a stock, then make sure you're not using that for your personal and writing off your taxes. But if you're using it for promoting your business, then categorize it in the right place. Okay, I think I've covered most of the stuff that I wanted to in the short amount of time that we have, but you guys can ask questions for the next little while, and then I'll see if I can answer them. But remember, I'm not a professional, so these are just little things that I'm learning and ways that it's helped me stay organized so that so we're almost done. I mean, it's what, January the 14th, and I think I have one more form to finish, and I'll be done. It's usually like April 14th, and I'm in frantic mode. So, and Mark and I have had like 12 arguments. And so I said to him today or yesterday, I was like, Dave, I think on April 15th, we should just go out for a celebration, because this is miraculous that we're almost done and it's January. All right, Julie, you want to lead us in questions and answers, and I'll see if I have answers.
Sure, that was awesome, Krista. Thank you so much. I love seeing you be so organized and setting that example for us. You're right. I'm sure it saves thousands of dollars. And so, yes, let's go ahead and take questions. I'm going to check the chat box to see if there's any questions there. Let's see.
So I see some. Let me see. Let me see if I can answer these. So can you write off any or all of your car expenses if you have magnetic LifeVantage door signs on the car? I don't know. We have our LifeVantage Jeep that was given to us. So that is a little different, I think. Dan, you may want to really look into that and ask. Just don't give in so easily that you don't get the proper answer, because we write off a ton of ours, but the difference is that our business actually owns it. So we don't own our Jeep personally. Our business owns it. So it doesn't go around doing a ton of, home stuff. Every once in a while, it's doing a little bit of home right now because we have snow all over the floor, all over the ground outside, and it's got 4-wheel drive. So we keep something called Mile IQ. I don't like it very much. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think it's as dependable as some of the other car vehicle apps that you can keep. The best way to do it is to keep a catalog in your car, so that you can, especially if you just have one car and you don't have a business car or a home card, is to write down where you're going and when you went. But in our particular Jeep, it's a little different. Renee's just saying tax box tracks mileage. Yeah, it does. I just think it's a little bit better than the one we're using. So TaxBot, look at that. So Jerry says, yeah, so your local credit unions are your best places. We do all of our business and banking at credit unions. And there's minimal fees is what he's saying. So your TaxBot link is in your back office. That's right. So you guys, there's a link for TaxBot in your back office. I don't know about the subscription. Maybe you can look into that. Jerry's saying that he thinks it's $5, Linda. Yeah, okay, awesome. So that's not much at all. That's a full tax write-off, that $5, full tax write-off. Yeah, so TaxBot requires all the needed information unless you get audited. Yeah, it's great. I need to get on it. You guys are awesome when it comes to that. Christy's saying, I thought tax law changed this year and you can't write off any business meals. I think you can write off maybe, I think you can still write them off. You've just got to make sure that you're clear about what the business meals are for. It's not like for just a fun time to get together with your business partners. So it would be like a meal that you're paying for so that you can do business, and that's a little different. And sometimes you just can't pay for everything. I mean, we can't. You can't justifiably. Okay, for instance, like if Mark goes and does an LVA, and then he takes, 2 or 3 of the leaders ask him out. He can't just pay for the bill. I mean, he can if he wants to, but that is not a tax write-off just because he's there. And, they're going to talk LifeVantage in whatever city he's in. So it has to be it has to be like an event that's scheduled to do business at. And then sometimes it's better to just look at it as a different category than a meal, like a training event, because that's really what it is. Meals still at 50%. Yeah, there's no more entertainment expense. This is true. We used to get an entertainment. It used to be 50%. No more entertainment, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. David, stop it. David Meissner says, what if my Pyrenees gets into the UPS box and eats all of our pet tandem? Can I write it off as a loss? Yes. No, you can't. Get this for your dog. Oh my gosh, David. You can't. Oh, I don't know. You'll have to work that one through. Call me later on that one. Let me see if there's any other questions. Yeah, you can't go to the Super Bowl and write it off. That's true. We're going to win the Super Bowl. There's just some good information. Okay, anything else that you guys are having to say? Okay, I think we've gotten all on the Zoom chat. Anybody that wants to talk? Oh, awesome. I must have answered all the questions. Can you guys unmute yourselves or not?
Yes, they can.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jerry.
One of the things with TaxBot and the doing my own taxes the last few years is that you have to keep, I write off my mileage for business miles, but one of the things on the IRS form, and TaxBot will keep track of it too, is that you need to write down your mileage on January 1st.
Oh, yes.
Even though it's not a percentage thing, I really don't understand why they want that, but it's a question on the IRS form. What was your mileage on January 1st? Yeah. And then you still have to give them the number of miles you drove for business purposes, but they want to know that.
Yeah, they want to know.
So go back and try to figure out today what your mileage was on January 1st from oil change receipts or something, or just flag it. Yeah,
because at the end of the year, you really need to know your total mileage that you spent on business. And if you get audited, then obviously you're going to have to get into some really details on it. And that's why TaxBot's so great, because it keeps like every trip, every trip. We do it a little bit differently, but I don't think it's as good as what TaxBot offers. So I'd recommend that over what we do. But we do have our mileage at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. Anybody else want to ask a question?
So can I just clarify again? So with LifeVantage products that we purchase, I had understood that we could write off everything we purchase as an advertising expense. But you're saying that anything we use personally, that's not the case?
Yeah, so look, let me explain it from my perspective, and then you work it through with your person, okay? Mark and I have a couple of business centers, right? Okay, so on one of our business centers, we spend $40 a month, okay? If I did not spend that, whether I eat it or plastered on my walls, okay? If I did not spend the $40, I wouldn't make any money. I wouldn't have a business. It is a requirement for me to spend that $40 in order to make money in LifeVantage. So you are all at least able to write off your required amount to own a business. Okay? Now, there is another business center that we have to have 200, okay, in personal volume. I do not enroll district customers in that business center. Okay, it's in business center 2, and I enroll all my customers in my first business center. So all I write off in my first business center is my $40 purchase every month. Or if I change it, you know, maybe I get my Protandim elsewhere and then I write that one off at, you know, 70 or something if I do my True Science Anti-Aging there, or whatever, okay? But in my other business center, I have to purchase 200 in personal volume in order to get paid in that business center as an elite distributor. I have to, or as a Pro 4 and above, okay? So if I did not, you guys, I would not be being paid as a Pro 4 and above. So this is the deal. Do not color outside the lines with the IRS. Don't. You just be honest. My personal opinion is if you do what you know to be right and true, then God can bless your business. That's my personal opinion. And so that's what we're trying to do. Like, we're learning it to a T, so we can do what God wants us to do with the excess. Well, with all of it, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, it's all a gift to us at this point. But you understand that in a different way than some of the rules and the regulations of your tax person may understand it when it comes to network marketing rules and regulations or businesses. They may not quite understand that you have to have a certain amount that you spend every month in order to have a business. Does that make sense? So I'm just saying, nicely educate them, because they don't know. It's like when we're dealing with doctors that don't know anything about Protandim, and then we get mad at them. We're like, you won't listen. And really, they're just trying to help. They're not going to recommend Protandim because they don't necessarily know anything about Protandim. So just let them know what the rules are. And that way, you're not in a situation where they're going, well, is this a personal consumption? You know, and is this because they are trained to ask certain questions because they work for IRS and they have to abide by the rules of the IRS. It's not that the IRS is trying to take all your money, obviously not. It's just that they want to make sure that the rules and regulations are so that we all stay within the guidelines and we have a happy nation and city to live in. Okay, so abide by those rules. But don't push them so much outside that you are giving them money that is not due to them, and that you are losing money that's actually money that should stay in your pocket or should stay in your business. But just work it through so you understand it. Become a student of this. You're going to learn, and the more that I learn, I just feel sort of a bit more released to make more money. So the less that I learn, the more closed-minded I get to it, the more that I don't necessarily want to deal with it and face it, the more I go, well, maybe my paycheck's going to stop. So we're stewards. And so we want to learn to be stewards and to abide by the rules, but not to be abused by them.
Krista, did you say that your monthly requirement goes in your cost of goods sold?
I do. That's where I put it. Yeah. And not all of you will have that. So, but that's a category. I mean, that's a proper business category called cost of goods, or what is it called? Cost of goods sold. Any other questions?
Did you say it's called cost of doing business?
Mm-mm. It's called cost of good or goods sold.
Hey, Krista.
Yes.
If my husband is a distributor under me, so he is also required to order 1 bottle, so it would technically be 2 for us.
Yep.
So,
It would technically
okay.
be 2. Unless
And
you're,
then if he
unless
doesn't
you're
have,
order more.
like he has 1 customer that orders 2 bottles, so it would cover the 100 PV, right?
That's
Okay.
right. Because he'd be at like 120 if you're just doing per tandem. Sheila
Okay.
gets on some other stuff so that PV can increase.
Yeah. So then for me, like if say I didn't like is Pro 4 when you have to have 200?
That's right.
So
Okay.
then, okay, got
So
it.
you need some more customers at that point. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Oh, that's an accounting term. I don't know then, Jerry. What would it be? Do you know? Maybe it's not cost of goods sold.
My CPA said to call it advertising.
Okay.
Product that that we bought to use the
Reselling.
samples, or because we're using it. Cost of goods sold would be
Like if you're reselling it.
Right.
like the nuts and bolts that the hardware store buys at a 2 cents to sell at 10. That's cost of goods sold. So it's what you pay out, so you'll have some product to sell at a.
Yeah, and we're not doing that. Like we're not reselling it like that. So
You-
maybe
That's
Talk to your professional, but the another spot that I see this going, if we all had to wear uniforms, if we worked for a company and we're required to buy our own uniforms, it's a requirement to do the job. And so this would be a requirement for us to do our job to get paid. So talk to your professional, but there may be a place there for that as well, because it's a requirement.
I agree, Renee. That's wisely said. Anybody else?
Do your kids work in your business?
Our kids do work in our business, yeah, and we pay them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to bless your kids, but also to get some help and not have to pay, high dollar. But if they're doing computer work, then we pay them just like we would pay anyone else for computer work. And they do a lot. I mean, we did a season of back office training. It was so funny here in Kansas City. And we took our kids as the people that would walk around and help everyone to learn how to get into their back offices. Because, I'm at the front trying to tell them, and then people were, in front of their computers or their iPads. And you've got some people that like can't even figure out how to work their iPads. And so Hudson's kneeling with one, working with them, going, well, you swipe it this way and you swipe it that way. And Hunter's helping someone, and then Ariana's helping stuff. Anytime they help set up chairs, anytime they help clean up. If they clean my house for a meeting, I pay them. So this is the deal. I would have to pay someone. So, and if I weren't having a meeting, I wouldn't clean my house. And so I'm like, you got to help me, so I would clean my house, but not at that moment. Right. And so I will, if Ariana has to cook a meal that I cannot cook because I'm preparing or I'm doing it, then it goes down on what she did for me. So yes, if anything that happens in your home or related to your business, my kids are my favorite employees. Well, I only have 3 employees, but you know what I'm saying? Like if I were going to pick people to go do things for me, they can read my mind. They understand me. They know how mom and dad want things done, and they do them well, and they're awesome at it. And they believe in LifeVantage. They've seen the freedom. They've done it all. So we pay them, and then we don't have to pay somebody else. Yes, we do keep track. So I keep a sort of a running notepad that says when they helped us and what they did.
Is the amount still $600 that you can pay without having to give someone?
Yes, and there are some other things, and you guys could go through. If you pay students, there's a lot that they can make. But if they're full-time students, then they're like exempt from having to pay taxes or something.
Right.
I don't know those rules, but there are some great rules there that if you're paying students, they don't have to pay. They're exempt from taxes. And ours are all, of course, full-time students. They don't make a ton of money. I mean, it's just I'd have to pay someone, so it's always nice to be able to pay them. And then that money that I pay them, it can't be used for necessities in life. So it can't cover like their food, their housing, or their clothes, right? That money can cover other things in their lives, but it cannot cover legally. You're not supposed to be able to use that money to pay for the basic necessities of life. Those would be home expenses that mommy and daddy are responsible for. Anybody else? I'm just looking at the chat to make sure we've answered anything. I don't want to bore you guys. I know we've been at it a while. Welcome, sweet Christy. Anything else? All right, Julie, I don't see anyone needing anything, so if you'll close this down, that'd be great. Oh, Life Vantage Academy. Don't forget, it's coming up. So wherever you are in your local area around the United States and some of these other places that may be listening in, I should say this, all of this information I've learned is only for the United States. So Canada, I have no idea how it works there. I don't know your rules and regulations. I would look into finding someone who actually understands network marketing. And that has been key for us. So we've had lots of different tax people over the years, and finding someone who has dealt with network marketing and understands what it's like to really be a network marketer, right? To really be one. Then they have a different perspective and they know how to categorize things so that you're receiving all the tax benefit that you need and that you're paying what you need to pay. And so don't just go with someone who knows what small business owners do. Very different. Small business owners are not network marketers. And so they could be network marketers, but do you understand? I mean, there's a difference in owning a small business and being a network marketer. And so we have been sort of in this category of people who specialize in small business owners, and they have no concept for requirements for a back office, and some of the other things that this particular person has helped us learn. And also the home-based office expense, and the journal is so much better. There's just a lot that we've learned. So we just wanted to pass on some of it. But take it through your tax person so that I'm not misguiding you, because trust me, by next week I may learn a whole bunch more. So don't forget to register for your local LVA. That's a tax write-off. That's $25. If you don't hurry, it's going to be $27.50 or something. So go ahead and get registered. These are the events that seriously have changed everything for Mark and me. Mark will be in Columbus, Ohio. I think I'm correct. Mark, if you're on there and I'm wrong, maybe you should say something. I can't remember where you're going. And then we have Mark, is that a yes?
No, that's Cleveland. Close.
There you go.
But I'll be in Cleveland.
He'll be in
so
Cleveland.
if you know what in Columbus or Toledo or Akron or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh or Erie, send them. Because we're expecting snow and it could be a weekend-long party in Cleveland.
Oh, so, it's already $27.50? Okay, so you don't want to pay $37.50. You gotta get registered.
That's right.
And then next month, where are we going to be, everyone? Charleston, South Carolina. It's going to be gorgeous. Although it is stunningly beautiful in Kansas City, Missouri right now. I've never seen snow like this on our trees. It is a winter wonderland. So go on Facebook, see some pictures. There's some people are posting. It's incredible. We're supposed to get more Thursday and Friday. But anyway, it will be nice in Charleston, and it'll be so fun to see our LifeVantage family. We love you all, and always miss you when we're not around you. But you know, we can't just live at our events, can we? We have to come home and help other people. So love you all. Thank you for tuning in and being with us tonight. Julie, I'll let you end it.
Okay, thank you so much, Krista. That was awesome. Love your wisdom, and I just love how you just have so much integrity with it. I love the part about not coloring outside the lines, and it really enables us all to sleep better at night too when we're honest with all this. So thank you so much. I'll get this recording out to everyone. Hey, and for those of you who don't live near a LifeVantage Academy, they now have some of them that are online. You still have to register and pay for them, but you can see that on the big blue calendar. So I encourage everyone to join one this weekend. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.